All right. Well, my name is Robbie, and this is my ethnography presentation. If you're watching this, I've already talked a bit about the pictures and the quotes on this page, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about my name. My full name is Robert John Baker the second, not junior, but the second. I was named after my late grandfather, Robert John Baker, also known as Bob. So it skips a generation, so I am the second. There's a picture of him in the bottom left-hand corner there, and my name is important to my identity because it is symbolic of the bond of my family. It is representative of our pride in the members of our family and their values. This is something I'll touch briefly on about my family tree and some of my cousins, is that we recycle names a lot in our family because we want to honor the people who've passed in our family and some of our ancestors. My parents were also both teachers at the time, and they had a pretty extensive list of names that they just could not agree on because certain students had behavior problems, and then that name became associated with something like that. But anyway, another fun fact is that I grew a mustache as a fun attempt to look more like Bob 2 or 3 years ago, and I kind of just kept it because I liked how it looked, but my mom hates it. Anyway, here is my family tree. As you can see, there's Robert John Baker II at the bottom, and then Robert John Baker is my grandfather. I have a ton of cousins that I could not fit on here, but I have a cousin named Patrick who was named after my grandma's late brother. My dad, Timothy Baker, is actually named after a different cousin on another side that was also passed away. But this is my family tree. At the very top there where it says Jasmine Eddy and Stephen Jensen, they both immigrated from Denmark, actually. So I have Danish roots, so I'm going to talk about that for a moment. My mom is named Tekla Baker, and her sister, which is my aunt, is named Galen. Two pretty unique names. These names are both traditionally Danish. So both my mom and her sister were kind of mocked for their names growing up because it was deemed difficult to pronounce. So I've always kind of known a little bit about Danish history and culture, and one thing that we've been doing since I was a little kid is my mom makes æbleskivers for our family. This is a delicious Danish breakfast pastry dish. And then at night, she will often make Danish gløgg. It is an alcoholic drink that is really tasty. So we kind of celebrate the Danish culture through our food. And then I also wanted to touch on something that's important to me, and this is the family history in my neighborhood in Huntington Beach, where I grew up. To the right is a little map, and then to the left is a key. And our neighborhood really centers around this park called Sealy Park. And so if you look, number 1 there is Lynn Baker. It's my grandma's house. That is where my dad and his sister and his other sister grew up. And then, as you can see, my dad and his 2 sisters moved within a couple hundred feet of Grandma's house. And so we all have this little shared community where all of my aunts and uncles are, and they all have kids, which are my cousins. So I'm extremely close with my cousins in my family, and it's important to me. This park, if you look in the bottom left, you can see in 1968 when they first moved into that house on Branta Circle. Sealy Park has been an important place to foster relationships with my family. I grew up out here playing football or soccer or running around with my uncles and my cousins, and going on picnics and hanging out with my aunts and grandmas. So this is a really important place for me. The Baker roots are really deep in Sealy Park, as funny as it sounds. All right, and then I want to talk a little bit more about how my family has improved this place. I take great pride in the accomplishments from family members on both my dad's side and my mom's side. So I'll start with my dad's side. My great uncle Patrick Bucky, who I mentioned, my cousin is named Patrick to honor him. Patrick Bucky, which is my grandma's brother, served in the U.S. Armed Forces, and he lost his life serving our country in an accident while he was training, actually. I believe it was for the Vietnam War. So I'm named Robert John Baker, and then my cousin is named Patrick to honor him. And then my grandmother, Lynn Baker, that I talked about, she was a Spanish teacher for over 30 years in Huntington Beach. She sees her plurilingual students in the community on a weekly basis. Everybody in Huntington Beach knows of Lynn Baker. And then my dad has been a school psychologist for 28 years, and he's well revered in our community for helping thousands of students via individual education plans, so IEPs, and just general counseling. On my mom's side, we have a very deep history of wildlife conservation efforts and sustainable forestry practices. In 1924, my great-great-great-uncle founded what is now known as the U.S. Forest Service Institute of Forest Genetics. And then on that family tree, there's mention of the Eddy family. So John, James, and Robert Eddy, three brothers, acquired the Port Blakely Mill Company and its forest lands. And so today, it still stands as one of the largest sustainable timber companies in the world. For every tree that they cut down, they plant one more. So they have really done a lot for sustainable forestry in the world. They've been a leading charge of that industry. And then in 1996, Port Blakely entered the first ever Habitat Conservation Plan, HCP, with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the National Marine Fisheries Service. This covered over 10,000 acres of the Pacific Northwest. And then I talked with my mom and got her oral history. My mom is like probably my best friend, so it was really fun. I called her, and we did this little oral history, and then we just talked for like another 2 hours. But you can pause it if you'd like to read all the answers. I'm going to continue here. Some causes in my community in Huntington Beach that I really care about. One is countering a history of racism in Huntington Beach. We have a kind of an issue with, or not kind of, we have a big issue with skinhead culture and history, white supremacy in Huntington Beach, and it's something that has always made me pretty sad because I grew up in Huntington Beach, and I love Huntington Beach, and I love the people that raised me there and that I grew up with. But it's really sad to have such an unfortunate, really just disgusting culture that kind of emerges there sometimes. Another cause in my community that I really care about is protecting our libraries and keeping them public and not privatized. There was a big effort last year that there was going to be some privatization of our libraries, which could, in consequence, essentially have some certain books banned by these organizations. And that was something that I was pretty bothered by. So I attended some different rallies and protests. I signed some petitions, and thankfully, they did not actually go through with that. And then a third cause in my community that I really care about is the restoration of the Huntington Beach and Bolsa Chica wetlands. I grew up hiking through these wetlands and exploring, and then also fishing the areas that are legal to fish. And it's been really hard to see how much of the wetlands have been developed upon for hotels and malls and things like that. So that's another another cause that I really care about in my community. And they also included some strengths and interests and passions. Some of my strengths are my strong sense of empathy and understanding. I'm eager to help others. I'm an active listener. I prioritize communication and relationships, and I really have this growth mindset kind of idea. And then my interests, I love all kinds of art. I also enjoy wellness and incorporation of healthy habits. And I really like to study psychology. And some passions here are creative expression. I really like meditation and the arts of staying present. I've been practicing this for about 2 years now, and it's really transformed my life. I also have a passion for teaching literature and appreciating the profound impact of the humanities, especially right now. And then finally, I love to create environments for growth and self-development, whether that's with my friends or my family or in a classroom setting. And finally, how I plan to contribute. I plan to teach English in an equitable manner in the state of California. I want to teach a welcoming environment in which students of all races, religions, ethnicities, gender, age, etc. have a chance to find what art speaks to them. I plan to, show a very diverse and wide array of literature in different modalities and formats, in the hopes that, something there really sticks with the kid. Outside the classroom, I plan to be involved with the school's community. I hope to eventually host or organize some different clubs, like fishing club, book club, music club, anything else a student can really come up with. This is all aimed in fostering a community. And I also plan to follow the legacy of the Eddy family and participate in local activism related to the environment and nature in my community. I hope to engage in after-school programs that give the earth a voice. And that is my ethnography presentation. Thank you very much for watching.